Death of the cancer in the trees. Death of the cancer in the trees. Cancer in the trees. How to get rid of them. How to kill the cancer in the trees. Hi, this is Redwood B. Manson, and I'm here talking about how to get rid of the cancer in the trees. They don't need man to do anything for them. The builders, as I always like to talk about, the builders have their own way of getting rid of trees. They don't need man of heavy equipment. They got a way that once they are ready for any cancer in the trees or wild cotton trees that we call environments, and I will show you those wild cotton trees. They know how to get rid of them, and everything is for purpose. Now, when you come on seashores in the Bahamas or some places around coastal areas, you see two trees that normally would be growing together. One would be a sea grape trees. The sea grape trees with the big leaf, they normally grows on coastal areas, and that is for purpose. That is not just there to be in a tropical climate. That's for purpose. Now, what is that for? That's for the leaves from the trees drops on the ground and they become fertilizer. That's what they for. That's the first thing they for, right? Now, but what happens is sea grape leaves take too long to break down. They take a long period of time to break down. So what happens is then there's some other trees that you normally see on coastal areas, and them other trees we call. Then you normally see coconut trees on seashores and sand flats. Now, the environmentalists, like I normally say, they don't bother with coconut trees. And the reason why they don't bother with coconut trees is because what? Coconut can eat. They don't say coconut is an invasive species. But coconut too is not native to the country. Coconut trees are from the Pacific Islands. They're not native to the Bahamas or to the places. But because they float on the waters and they land on sand flats, and eventually you can see them on sand flat with no trees, only the coconut tree there, and they're growing and they're producing coconuts. So what happened is that is also, but the builders will want them stay there too, because eventually what happens is the roots of the coconut trees keep sand stable, and then of course when the limbs them drop, the limbs them will become fertilizer. The tree will also eat from the leaves and so forth, and then other trees then that will start to grow on that area will also get food. The next trees that you'll see as I pan the camera on, because I'm doing a one-man show, as I always like to be with my camera. Now, as I said, you see the cancer in the trees. Now, as I said, so the sea grape trees there, they drop their needles. Then what? The cancer in the trees. Then the cancer in the trees them comes. Now, where cancer in the tree came from? Cancer in the tree. I like to always give history of everything. Cancer in the trees came to the United States in the late 1800s. So they had developers wanted to build homes, and they decided that the pine trees that are there, they were not able to handle the salt water, because pine trees don't like salt water. Pine trees like to be a distance away from land before they grow. And you see all them other keys on the outside there, all them is carcerina corpus. They're carcerinas on them. Right? Now, I can deal with that another podcast for another day. But anyway, we'll deal back to this. Now, so we got carcerina trees. They will drop their needles, because the sea grape trees drop needles. And as I said, the carcerina trees came, they brought them from Australia to put it along the coastal ones. They building them homes. Well, what happened is, carcerina likes salty environments, and so what happened is, when those needles and everything, what you can see here, the needles and the seeds fell off the trees, and they fell into the water. The wave took them away and carried them to various coastal seashores. Now, when they came to the seashores around, the builders loved them. The builders loved them. They just said, "Wow." And now, like I said, if just like a working environment, other people get mad because they will get mad because they say that these people come and take our jobs. But what happened is, when the carcerina trees came, and they start growing along the coastal areas. Then what happens is, they now start dropping their needles start falling on the ground on a rocky environment. And then what happened is, they now became what? Fertilizer for more trees. Now, as I said, made a mention earlier, when the builders wants the castle tree to be destroyed, to be killed, they got their own way of killing it. They got many more than one way. They don't need man help. Like you see the people get environment. Oh, we got to clean up the coastal shore. We got to do this and we got to do that. Yeah. But the engineers don't need that. Like you see this castle tree in front of me. This is castle tree throwing down. Some people say that the only castle tree only is a nuisance. Dirty up the environment. No. All this tree that is here will be broken down. All of the skin that is off the tree, as you can see, the periwinkles, as I showed you earlier, over here. Let me get a closer view so you can get a view of it. As you can see, the periwinkles on the roots, they will eat up the root first. They will suck the root. They will just suck, and they will consume that. They take with water, beat on it, and they will keep their sucking. And they will suck until they suck all of the bark right down to the dry core. And once they comes around it like how these limbs are here, then what happens is nothing can grow on it because it will die. They make sure to get the roots. They suck from the roots and destroy that, and they wake right up and so forth. Next thing will come with, you see, a termite mound. See that termite mound there? The termite nest right there. That will eat out the inside off the bark and the limbs and eat down everything. And what it's doing, when they do, they'll fall on the ground and it makes soil. Topsoil become fertilizer for more trees, more weeds. Everything plays a very important part. Nothing is just by chance. Nothing is by chance. Everything is for purpose. And so now what happens is, castle trees don't have that much root system. Not like that. Their main root system is just the whole sand, they keep sand stable, and then the builders will do what they need to build. Like I said, I always talk about the builders. But you come to the university, and I will show you who the builders are. I will give you more detail and breaking it down to you, showing you exactly who the builders are. Now, there's some other trees that you'll find growing along the seashore. Let me pan around and go to a different location and come back. Come right back. Do not go nowhere. And this is all just a one-man band. Back again. And normally you see some other trees growing along the seashore. And you will now see what? These trees in front of me. These green trees, yeah. Now they also call them invasive species, right? But they too will be found along coastal area. And then you can see sea grape trees. These are sea grape trees leaves. They're always seen found next to castle trees, as I made mention. And then you have these ones here called the Hawaiian sea grapes or the Hawaiian lettuce. These grow a little white board, a little white powder on it. And once the little powder's on it, then, but these are also grows around coastal areas. Now, what they for? They call them invasive species. Okay, I see one of the trees has the board on it to give you a better understand what I'm talking about. See here? These are the pods. They call them, some people call it sea cabbage, sea lettuce, but they like to grow along the coastal areas. And now the purpose of these trees are to also keep and hold sand and hold debris down. And you can see at the bottom, you can see all of the casuarina needles on top of the soil. And the leaves of them and everything will be broken down and it will make fertilizer. Now, there's the next species of trees that you find growing along coastal areas. This species of tree here, this plant here. That there. That's the next species of plant. Now, before the casuarina trees came, this tree was growing on the islands. Love salty water. In New Providence, you can see them up almost close to where the government house is. In Nassau, in George Street, you can see them. But what happened is, when I first came to islands, I didn't know what they were. But after doing a lot of research and studying, I get to find out they call sea hibiscus. They have some nice flowers that grows on it. Some is pink, some white. They got different colors, but really the two colors is pink and white, and they have a little nut that grows on it. And the nut has, I see some more twigs. I will go and do some more a closer run on it. And then something else before I move on, then there's some more trees them growing along here. Now this species of tree here, they call this another tree, they call this, it's also invasive, but this is more of a copper trees. That's called That's a jumbe leaf, and a jumbe is a tree that has little buds and little like peas shoots that grows on it, and it also has a little bud on itself. Now, okay, let me see before I move on. Let me go, and we got a little dragonfly right there in front of me. See that right there? It's right there. You see it, right? It's right there in front of me, right there. Dragonfly. And I remember when I get a zoom right in close on them and wouldn't move, they wouldn't move. Once you don't move, you see them right there, right? But anyway, that's a dragonfly. So again, let me move around to the next point. Okay, like I said, this tree is called, these are the pods here. Now, they normally be, let's see if I can find it. Okay, here, these pods. Well, these ones are these are the seeds in it right now. They are drying out. What happened is, once these seeds here, should I see it there? That's that. And what happened is, these will grow. Now, I don't know where these originated from, but from what I know, they have always been around here in the Bahamas for long periods of time. And you find them around, like I said, coastal areas. They don't grow on all coastal areas. In some places they don't grow. But normally, them in the castor tree, they would have been here long before the castor tree came. But they love salty water. Do the same thing, leaves them drop down and make fertilizers. And when they make fertilizer, then the builders them can make fertilizer. Like for example, how the castor tree needs it. Like I said, people say that castor trees nothing grows around them because they see the needs there. But if you look closely, and you look closely, you'll see here on the ground here, what is this? This is grass, weed, right? And this is that one shot, that's the water out there, castor in the tree. So then, it shows you the environmentalists really didn't know what they were saying. Or they was trying to hide something from you, but they couldn't hide it from me because I didn't do my research. I didn't know. That right? So you can see the weed. You can see the weeds here. The grass, yeah. You see it, right? Now you can see, additionally, you can see the periwinkles there. This there. Yeah. It will suck off the roots of all of the trees that what the builders don't want destroyed, they will destroy them. You see them? They're eating off this tree now. They're destroying that because what? The builders said, okay, enough of that is enough of that. We need the location that you had. We need that to build more. They're building. And what are they doing? They're building what? They're building land. They need the space. They're building land. Like I said, they don't need engineers and us for nothing. But man, like we like to get in the business, and we like to put up sea walls. And what happened to sea walls and everything? We create more problems because once the builders build, they build the land high above the water table. The water wouldn't be able to affect it, and they know how to seal it and do everything that the water wouldn't destroy it. But then man comes, we see that we come and we take it down. So that's a high hill. We come down here, we do the equipment, and we tear it down, and then what does make me laugh? They take the soil and take it from a high place, or cut down a hill from a high place, take all the soil and put it in a low place. But the builders say, hey, buddy, we can get to that. We can get to that, but not in your time. But we can get to that, right? So again, these are the trees that you find growing around the coastal seashore. And I just want, like I said, I put myself in the shot so that you can see it's not an AI. I'm real, right? I just like to put myself in the shot because it's important. Doing research is very important. And like I said, being in this university here, and Andrews here, and the Bahamas in particular, like I said, when it comes to understanding land, blueprint of how land is being built, I can go anywhere around the world. Like I said, for example, if you give me a blueprint of a building, I don't know that. The only thing I know about that building is looking at the plan as the first page. So that could be a two-story building, that could be this, that could be that. But when it comes to land, anywhere around the world, I can tell you how that land is being built, anywhere. Once I tell you the Decay made it a place, I can tell you how that land is being built, right? But again, I am Renfred B. Manson. This is a Blueprint Land Creation Podcast. Like, subscribe, and share. See you next time, doing some more research on some more things.